Hello again from Fired Up. I'm your host for the show, Bob Irwin, broadcasting from Rigel Studios here in Las Vegas, Nevada. This show is about guns, related politics, and self-defense issues. Fired Up is on our website, firedupwithbobirwin.com. A new show is posted every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Time. The show also appears on YouTube and numerous other media. For radio listeners, the audio feed is rebroadcast Saturdays at noon on the Nevada Talk Network. You can find the 18 or 19 stations at KELY1230.com on your computer or your phone, KELY1230.com, and they'll give you the station in your area. It's simulcast on all the stations at once at noon on Saturdays. You have questions or comments, you can send an email to bob@firedupmail.com. That is bob@firedupmail.com, or leave a message on my office recorder, 702-257-1060. That is 702-257-1060. If you leave contact information, we'll respond by email, text, or telephone. Questions for my guest will be forwarded. There are several hundred defensive uses of firearms every week in the United States, rarely covered by any mainstream media. So we always present some of those for our listeners' education. Most are good shootings, some are questionable, sometimes they're just plain wrong, but all are educational for those who keep a firearm for self-defense or carry one for self-defense. Individual incidents are generally adjudicated under local law, so the advice given here in Nevada might not apply to listeners in other jurisdictions. The incidents are as reported, except I generally omit the names of the participants other than the lawyers and police officers, but I leave the individuals out of it because they may not be convicted later. They may be innocent bystanders that we don't know were at the time, and they're become part of the story. For clarity, I often paraphrase copy from the original police jargon, lawyer speak, or regional dialects into American English. So I do that to clarify the story and make it make sense to everybody listening, except people who use police jargon and lawyer speak and now don't understand what we're talking about. But anyway, the stories are as presented, but we do clean them up a little bit to make them more understandable. So, my guest today is retired police detective Michael Bunker. Mike, a bit of your background, if you would.
I am a retired police officer. I served 40 years with a large police department. I was a uniform patrol officer, a uniform sergeant, and then as a sergeant, I worked in narcotics. Also, I had a mind freeze there. General assignment detective, night shift, where we handled almost every type of crime. In my last 20 years, I did organized crime.
That was a Joe Biden moment.
Yeah.
It's now called in the broadcast.
Yeah, we are
industry.
in Las Vegas. I did remember that.
I have to look up at the monitor to see who the guest is, and then I'm trying to remember his name. Although Mike and I have known each other
30 plus years.
Yeah, 30 years, I guess. In our misspent childhood, there are lots of stories here in the Naked City that I can't share on the air. Anyway.
I appreciate that.
And so do our attorneys and the people who hold a mortgage on our houses. Anyway, this is from KOCO TV 5, reported on September 1st of this year. In Tuttle, Oklahoma, two suspects, this is very similar to a case we did last week, but there's a twisty difference here. Anyway, in Tuttle, Oklahoma, two suspects entered the home of an elderly couple, both in their 70s, located in the 100 block of East Drive in Tuttle, just before 11 p.m. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation reports the husband was beaten by one of the suspects and then tied up along with his wife. The husband was able to break free and access a firearm. he shot the suspects. Two suspects at the suspects. The two suspects quickly fled into a waiting getaway car outside, indicating there was a third person there also. I'm running way ahead of the monitor, or way behind the monitor here, so we got to fix my reader board here. Okay. Anyway, there was a third person in the getaway car. One rule of self-defense: there's always more suspects than you can see. So anyway, they fled. The authorities are seeking a female around 25 years old and a male around the same age. The female may have a tattoo on the back of her neck and upper back. The male may have tattoos on the top of his right arm. The third suspect never entered the home, so they have no idea who he was. Anyone with information about this about the identity of the suspects are encouraged to call OSBI at 800-522-8017. Having a self-defense firearm is, in this case, again, clearly saved lives. This elderly couple is tied up. He's beaten. Anyone who reads the plethora of crime reports that are available in local papers is foolish if they have no means of defending themselves at their home. Lights, cameras, strong locks, guard dogs can all be neutralized, all the things I normally advocate in these shows. Your safety could come down to using a firearm. I don't know, I picked up our local paper, the Review Journal, this morning, and there must have been 15 stories about home invasions. We have that idiot that went in and beat some woman he didn't know with a sledgehammer. 4 or 5, 6 shootings, some gang-related, some just random. Another child was shot accidentally. The gangbangers hit the wrong house or something. Why don't the police stop all this, Mike?
There's a limited.
Because you're retired, right?
There's a limited number of police officers and a just bioreplaceable bad guys that can be replaced quicker than new cops can be hired.
Yeah. I understand that with they're running 4 academies a year now.
Yes, approximately.
The cops are still retiring
well,
faster, that they're not getting ahead of it.
The difficulty is going to be getting ahead of it. There was a period when you had slower growth, so you had fewer police officers. But time passes, and all of those police officers that were in that particular time are all reaching retirement age at about the same time. So you're trying to get new people. And okay, you hire 40 cops. You're going to lose about 10% of them in the academy, just numbers. You'll lose a few more when you go through field training. The academy in a major police department is almost 6 months long. Field training is another 3 months to 6 months, which means before you've got a new cop on the street to replace somebody, you've got 1 year invested in them. That's a long time to get new cops on the street or new police officers on the street.
And until they can be left alone and handle any call?
When they're reasonably confident to handle most calls, and more importantly, to know when call for assistance and who to call for a particular problem or crime or advice. So a year to 18 months is not unusual before you have a police officer who is well versed in handling probably 90% of the incidents they run across. And that's a particularly dangerous time for them in their judgment.
Yeah. In reading all the data, one of the things that stands out, interesting enough, was when police officers get shot, in looking at gunfight stats, it's usually between 6 and 8 years on the force.
Yep.
They seem to be, they're careful, they do all their academy training, they remember everything, they don't take chances, and they've been going 6 years and haven't got shot yet. And they think, well, I don't have to wait for backup this time because I've done this 100 times before. And after that same time span, now that when they get under 10 years, now they're worried about retirement and who's going to take care of their wife and kids, and they get more common sense and don't jump into things that, I don't know, I have such respect for cops. They did so many things on these shootings, these mass shootings. I'm sure you saw the videos where these officers just charged in, and they're getting all this bad publicity previously to, not entering the school at Parkland or this or that or the other thing. And they certainly, the line officers respond when needed. I have great respect for that. Anyway, this next story is from KUTV ABC 7. A fellow named Kyle Harvey reported on the 31st of last month in Taylorville, Utah. A man, this is a really weird story, a man who was barefoot, intoxicated, really intoxicated, and packing a gun, was turned away on Sunday night from a child's birthday party. He was known to the host, but not welcome. The Unified Police Detective, the agency is called Unified because it covers several areas there. The Unified Police Detective, Ken Hansen, said that about 6:30 p.m. the man was dropped off at the home on South Hemlock Drive to attend a party at the residence. He was asked to leave and did so, but police say he came back and pointed a gun at the party host. Now, you have to visualize, the kids, they're all little kids. They're on the front lawn of this home at the time. So obviously there's a lot of danger from this drunk guy flashing a gun. Anyway, pointing a gun at the party host. When he refused to leave, the host reached down into this unwelcome guest's clothing and snatched the magazine out of his handgun. That's a pretty neat trick. He then told him to leave again, but gave him back the magazine, and the interloper walked off down the street. The children were then moved to a backyard bounce house. So they're no longer out in or where the street is, where the guy can get at them with his gun. The interloper apparently followed the neighbor. Anyway, a neighbor. I skipped something here. A neighbor observing this interaction went to his own house to retrieve a gun. He's across the street, apparently. The host followed the neighbor to his house. The interloper apparently followed them there also. The three men, the interloper, the host, and the neighbor, got into an argument. There's a surprise. There's no details on that. This just happened. The interloper raised his weapon, and the neighbor fired. The subject, then, the interloper, was taken to a hospital for treatment and is expected to recover. We don't know all the details of how these people all knew each other and so forth. Like I said, this is a brand new story. Anyway, it turned out the drunken intruder was already prohibited from possessing firearms. Thank God the neighbor was paying attention and had a firearm also. This is another example of a good guy with a gun stopping a bad guy with a gun, because obviously the police aren't going to arrive in time for this type of incident. If they'd already been called, they're still going to be, literally minutes away. And this guy was there and did the right thing. And hopefully there's no litigation or lawsuits over it. Have you ever seen such a thing?
I've seen a lot of people do a lot of really stupid things. giving the guy back the magazine? What was he thinking? You know, at the very least, okay, he gave him back his gun. Okay, keep the magazine or take the bullets out of the magazine. That doesn't preclude him from having another magazine or et cetera, et cetera. But, okay, look, you've threatened me, asshole. So I've stopped you, I've negated you. Now go away and here, take that which you threatened me with.
Here's your bullets back.
Is that ludicrous? I'm glad it turned out well, but
This is Utah. These are nice people. They're friendly with everybody. You know, this.
anybody that comes, you know, that packs and displays a gun at a kid's party that's drunk without shoes on, asks to leave and you come back is not a nice, friendly person. I would put him on a meter of 1 to 10 as far as stupid goes. The guy is really close to 11. He's an idiot.
Going through stories to use on this show, every week I find sometimes the stories aren't usable. A lot of them aren't usable because there's no real good point to them. But I always find something after reviewing all of these things that I've never seen anything quite like that before. And this was this week's story. We've got some friends and associates in this business that we'd like to give them a little plug here. Freestyle Martial Arts is located at Jones and Russell here in Las Vegas, Nevada. You can reach them at 702-551-9009. They train UFC fighters, etc. And they are an amazing place. Great children's classes, too, with a whole pile of kids. I walked into one the other day. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize they all even fit in the room. But all age levels, and private lessons also, and lessons for elderly people, too. And we have CCS Gunsmithing. They run, Chris Eifelt runs the NRA program for the Friends of the NRA dinners, where they give away all the guns and the NRA gets all the profit. And you can make a lot of money. There's one coming up here in a couple weeks. It's $100 to get a ticket to get in. You can get a hold of Chris at 702-365-1732 or drop in at CCS Gunsmithing there at Rainbow and Sahara here in Las Vegas. 702-365-1732. And Jerry Creed, the slide listed for the viewers is an estate planning business. He also runs, you can find him at trustjerry.com. I love that logo, that website name. But Jerry does firearms trusts, class 3 trusts. If you are looking to pass your guns to your heirs, particularly class 3, you need to get a hold of Jerry and get your trust updated. The rules are changing every 5 minutes, especially now in Congress. So you need to do this. Get a hold of Jerry Creed. Tell him Bob sent you. Then we have one of my mainline attorneys, Don Green, here in Las Vegas. He does litigation primarily in firearms cases, and particularly in regulatory cases. If you don't get you're not issued an FFL or you're not issued a concealed carry permit, and you think you should be, he's the guy to call. He really is up on the law and all that stuff, and is capable of getting a lot of that stuff turned around. You can reach him at 702-409-8239, 702-409-8239. Don Green. I think he'll be back with us in another week or week and a half, I believe. And Maggie Mordaunt, I can't say enough about her for being a great instructor. Without trying to give you all the information, if you go to your computer and search CCW Maggie, M-A-G-G-I-E, you will find everything about her. A great instructor, does ladies only classes. She's runs the Well-Armed Women program here with lots of lady shooters. You need to, if you're not familiar with a gun, ladies, and particularly women, and you have a gun at home, get a hold of Maggie and she will get you straightened out and show you how to work things. CCW Maggie. Ricardo's Mexican Restaurant. They are at Decatur and Flamingo here in Las Vegas. You can reach them at 702-227-9100. The fellow that runs it is named Bob, and tell him Bob sent you, and he'll know what's going on. They have banquet facilities and all the electronic stuff if you want to have meetings and so forth where you need visual aids. They can handle 100 people at a time or more with separate meeting rooms. Food is great. Call Bob at Ricardo's, 702-227-9100. And one more word here about Battlefield Vegas. Battlefield Vegas, which is on the strip behind Circus Circus. If you go down Circus Circus Drive, you will run into Battlefield Vegas at the end of the road. You and I had an interesting evening there once on that very same road, as I recall.
Once again, people displaying exactly how stupid they can be.
I have to share that just because we're here. Mike and I were riding together, and a car in front of us running the plate looked suspicious, and we ran the plate, and it showed stolen out of North Las Vegas. So the street kind of runs through Circus Circus. It's on both sides of the road. At the end of that road, if you're coming from the strip toward the west, you run into Battlefield Vegas. But so we put the red lights on or whatever, and the guy stopped. And because it was a felony car stop and the car was stolen, this and that, and there were several people in the car, as I recall.
Yeah.
We do the, police and get out of the car, get on your knees, and we're having them on their knees kind of waddle back to us. The fellas are yelling, "This is my car, I didn't steal it." Well, the car thieves say that all the time anyway, so nobody believes that till we can get IDs and so forth. Anyway, but the crowd stopped, and they are filling in both sides. And to get a view, they now are in front of us. So we've got a 180-degree crowd watching. No cell phones. That was before cell phones, I think.
As we're pointing guns at bad guys, and of course they realized that the police must be exceptional shots and that there's no chance that one, they'll miss, or two, a bullet will go through the bad guy that we thought was a bad guy and hit anybody else. Never underestimate, look, if cops are pointing guns at somebody, getting closer to see the scene is not smart.
And particularly standing behind the guy that the cops are pointing the gun at.
Well, they've seen too many Western movies in the saloon where the guys get into a gunfight and they part so that they're 3 feet on either side, not realizing that most shootouts they miss and hit everybody else.
That was absolutely. Anyway, if you go to Battlefield Vegas, you'll drive down that street and you will see what I mean. Circus Circus is on both sides and over the top of it actually with walkways and whatnot. So it's like the fatal funnel, and you're standing in the fatal funnel looking at the policeman pointing his gun. I don't know if I could have shot straight. I was laughing kind of hard at the time, I think.
Well, the good part is the guy turned out to be the owner of the car.
Yeah.
North Las Vegas had simply forgotten to take it off the hot car list, or they were slow in doing it. My belief is somebody just made an error, but the guy was a good guy. We were a good guy, but we didn't know that he was the owner.
Rick, how's the time running? Wow, I'm down to 4 minutes. Well, I shouldn't have talked that much about that. That was a funny episode, though. Not enough. We don't have enough time to do another story. I got 2 good stories for next week, or the week after next, that I couldn't get to. I want to thank everybody for watching Fired Up. This is my passion, doing these shows, and as I've told you, I am now over at Battlefield Vegas, so I wish you would go by there. They sell my hats and T-shirts and books and so forth. And we'll be, you can actually go in and try them on and get the one you like, and you'll be right there. You can find our old shows at firedupwithboberwin.com. It has now about 30 of the newer shows on in high definition. It is the friends of ours and the people that sort through this stuff for us to keep us on the air. Capitalism wins every time. So when you go to any of these businesses, please mention Bob sent you. And if you're interested in getting a commercial or a mention on the air, you can have my contact information on the show. We can do that for you also. Anyway, we'll be back next Thursday on our website, firedupwithboberwin.com. It's on YouTube at the American Guns and Glory Network, at my website, and numerous other media. When you go on media and you find the show wherever it is, just punch or click on the button that says subscribe, and you'll get a new show every Thursday evening around 5 o'clock. It'll come to you automatically. You won't have to be asking questions or trying to find my number and call me and leave a garbled message without your name so I can't call you back. We get those. I need help, call me back, I go, blah, 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 click. I guess most answering machines record the number. Mine doesn't. So I'm probably out
You're
of
very old school.
date there. I'm
Very
old
old
school.
school.
Old school. Anyway, remember the audio is repeated on the Nevada Talk Network all across Nevada, Saturdays at noon. Check out KELY1230.com. Thank you for supporting Fired Up. Thank you for watching. Have a great week.